Hello everyone, my name is Soren and I am here with Jasper.
Hello!
Today we wanted to talk about some of the best things and some of the worst things about living in Alaska. That's where I live too.
Ah,
Sort of,
yeah.
kind of, sometimes.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Good. Not at all.
For now.
Quiet back there.
Anyways.
So
So we both come up with like 5 good things and 5 bad things that we like or dislike about living in Alaska.
the first thing that I really like about living in Alaska is that it's a very unique place. So when you're in the lower 48 and you're like, and people are like, oh, where are you from? And you're like, Alaska. And they're like,
You live
What?
in Alaska? That's
my
so
God.
cool.
Yeah.
I want to live in Alaska.
right? Yeah, so that's kind of one of my favorite things is that it's an easy conversation starter to get going and talk about a place because people are always very interested in Alaska.
Yeah, everyone wants to come to Alaska, and everyone should, but they should also then go home because there's not enough space up here for everyone.
There's definitely not enough space. We're just 2.5 times the size of Texas, but definitely not enough space for everybody.
All right,
Let's
my first good thing was that it's cold, and personally, I like the cold. I do not like it being any hotter than about 80 degrees, and for the most part, asterisk, it doesn't get much warmer than that here. The
Yeah.
record high in Anchorage is 91 now, right?
Yeah. So that's actually my second favorite thing is that usually speaking, it doesn't get any
Warmer.
warmer than like 85 max. So yeah, it's nice that you don't have to worry about it being super hot all the time. Caveat: this year it's been a skosh hotter than normal.
We broke the heat record.
Yeah.
During Anthrocon, it was colder in Anthrocon than it was in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah, and we're officially in a drought in Anchorage right now. So
That's never happened before.
yeah, no, it hasn't.
Like, legit, that's never happened before. We're not being sarcastic.
Yeah.
My second cool, good thing was we get to see the aurora.
Yeah.
Like, fairly regularly.
Yeah.
Especially August through October. Prime aurora viewing season.
Yeah.
Because it's still warm, but it gets dark at, like, a semi-reasonable time. So you can actually go see it.
Yeah, up in Fairbanks, it's usually is a lot brighter. So it's kind of funny sometimes people come to Anchorage wanting to see the aurora, and it's like, well, you're in Anchorage in the summer, not so much. But
Yeah.
Fairbanks, during that time frame, you're gonna see it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's funny with tourists who come to Alaska, like, depending on what you're coming for, you have to pick different seasons. And if you're coming for the aurora, you can't come in the summer. What's your number 3 good thing?
So my number 3 good thing is also kind of about the outdoors, is that it's a very outdoorsy state, so that like from most locations, it's like a 5-minute walk or a 5-minute drive to get to somewhere where you can be very in the nature and
Yeah.
go for a hike. Like there's tons and tons of hikes all over the place, and there's national parks and state parks and everything. So
Yeah.
if you like to go hiking or be outdoors, this is the place.
That was my number 3, is outdoorsy
Yeah.
stuff in general. It specifically had said camping, hiking, or camping, hunting, and fishing. The fish in Alaska, specifically salmon, halibut, so good. Alaskan king crab is the best crab on the planet, and if you disagree, you're wrong. It's not an opinion, you're factually wrong.
Look it up, it's on the Google.
It's true. We've got moose, which are delicious and terrifying, but mostly delicious. We've got bears, which are less delicious and more terrifying.
Ooh,
and we've
there's
got
like a
wolves,
scale.
which are just terrifying.
Yeah.
They're not delicious. I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never tried one, but like, it's very, very outdoorsy. Like you're saying, right here in Eagle River, the Chugach National Forest is like,
Yeah, it's like right there.
it's
right there.
literally right there.
Right there. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. What's your number 4?
My number 4 was the PFD. So, you may have heard Alaskans get paid to live there. Or you also might hear Andrew Yang trying to sell his universal basic income by saying, Alaska gets a PFD every year. Yes, but no. Firstly, you have to live in Alaska the entire year to claim your PFD. And so if you move to Alaska, claiming season is like mid-October, right? I think so.
I don't track that because I always live here.
I'm pretty sure you have to. Well, I mean, like when you do the paperwork.
Oh,
it's
you
like
do the
October.
paperwork between January 1st and April and March 31st.
Right, and you get it in October.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've only done it for myself twice, and the second time I got denied because I had moved. So you have to live in the state. There's a bunch of like asterisks on that.
You can't have been out of the state for like, half a year, whatever, unless you're like military or have like certain schooling exemptions.
Yeah, if you're in college out of state and you come back for at least some number of days, you can still get it. But here's the thing, we only get it once a year. It's not a lot of money. It can range anywhere. The smallest one was $350. Not a lot of money. It's like, hey, have some spending money for a weekend. Go to the fair with or something. Speaking of, the fair is this weekend, isn't it?
It's not right now.
She's nodding. I think she's saying it is this weekend.
I can't see. There's
Anyways,
bright lights.
the biggest check it's ever been was like $2,500.
Yeah.
So
and if they went by the formula that they've been using, it could be up to $3,000 this year. But there's a bunch of politics stuff that we won't go into as to what the thing will be. But, and I think you were getting to it, is that it's based on the taxes to the oil companies that are extracting the natural resources of Alaska.
The basic thinking is because all of that drilling and stuff is happening on public land, the public land is owned by the public, aka the citizens of Alaska. So we get a tiny portion of those profits, and it really ranges. It could be a lot, it could be a little. They're trying to get rid of it right now because the state is in a budget crisis, and we're getting into the politics.
Yeah.
Quick, what's your next thing?
So my next thing, the thing that I like best for number 5 is going to be air quality, because on a regular basis, the Anchorage municipality, which is like the size of Rhode Island, regularly gets on the list for the top 10 in the nation for good air quality.
I mean, it makes sense. There's nothing here.
Yeah, it's really great that we're just in an area where there's not like a whole bunch of pollution that gets like with that convection or the inversion thing that happens. So it's a really great place. Caveat again this year. The state is on fire.
The whole state.
The whole state, basically. So air quality hasn't been so great this summer, especially the past couple of weeks. It's,
when we went outside to film earlier, he was like, "Wait, the sky's blue again."
It's been a little bit since I've seen blue sky, because wildfire smoke. It's a thing. Yeah.
My number 5 was, it's pretty quiet here. If you don't like to deal with the hustle and bustle of the big city or, modern living, you don't really have to do that here. It's really easy to buy property and just go completely live off the grid, or you can pick how much on the grid you want to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of subsistence lifestyle that goes on. There's areas where there is no road access. You either have to fly in or take a four-wheeler or a snow machine, or there's some where like you have to take a really like bumpy kind of dirt road to get to the village, so it's not.
Or the ones where the road is the river when it's frozen during the winter, so you can't drive there during the summer.
Yeah. So you got a wide range from that all the way to like, hey, let's go to Anchorage actual, where there's like JCPenney's and all the fast food and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
downtown Anchorage is like any big city, really.
Yeah.
It's not as big. There's smaller buildings because earthquakes and stuff. But
earthquakes are a thing here.
I didn't include that on my bad list.
I didn't include it either. Spoiler alert, because every place I think in the United States is subject to some type of natural disaster.
That's fair.
Whether it's like the hurricanes or twisters or whatever else, and earthquakes are Alaska's.
Yeah. So one of my friends in Oklahoma the other day was telling me like, oh, but like you guys get earthquakes and that's terrifying. And I was like, firstly, Oklahoma also gets earthquakes. Secondly, you guys get tornadoes.
Yeah.
Those are way scarier. But in Alaska, aside from the earthquakes, it's pretty quiet. Not a lot happens. Unless you're in Anchorage, there's not a lot of crime for the most part. I mean, just ignore the FBI statistics on our murder rate. They're skewed because of our population. Just ignore that. It's a very nice place to live. It is, yes. But there are some downsides.
Yes.
So
my number one downside is air quality. The reason, and it's not just because of the wildfires this particular year, yes, but actually up in Fairbanks,
I grew up.
Yeah, Fairbanks regularly gets on the top 10 list for worst air quality in the nation. And that is because
there's forests everywhere and they're always on fire. Even in the middle of winter, they're still on fire.
And the Fairbanks area is like a basin, and then it gets so cold that there's like this sciencey inversion thing that happens.
Yes.
So like all the exhaust and
all
from
the
cars,
cold air,
and then all of the
sinks
smoke
into
from
Fairbanks.
the house fire, not the house fires. What's the term that I'm looking for?
Wood fires?
The wildfires.
The wood fires, like the thing that the heating
yes.
fires for the homes.
Yes.
Those things, all of that smoke just gets basically trapped at the breathing level.
Yeah, because it doesn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
All sinks there, and then it's stuck. And yeah, Fairbanks air quality, not great. My number one bad thing is just the same like yours. My number one bad thing is my number one good thing. It's cold. It's really cold.
It is.
I grew up in Fairbanks, which is the one with the terrible air quality during the summer. The nice thing is during the winter, for the most part, the air is a little bit clearer because it's winter, and it just kind of feels like it does that. But it also gets colder than negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit. For reference, negative 40 Fahrenheit is the same as negative 40 Celsius. It gets colder than that regularly in Fairbanks. The coldest I think I've ever seen it around here in Anchorage is like negative 20, negative 25 maybe.
Yeah, we get to like, so negative 25 is probably about the coldest. There'll be like a couple weeks where it'll be like hovering in the negatives and get down to like negative, like the negative 20 type of thing a couple of times. But like, yeah,
that's uncommon in Anchorage.
I don't go to Fairbanks in the winter. That's not my jam. My number 2 for least favorite, I think we're on number 2.
Yeah,
number 2 is going to be the shipping costs.
Yep.
Yeah, it's... Oh, did we skip my number 4 for most liked? I think we did. Whatever.
I don't think we did.
Well, because it was about the animals.
They're kind of been blending together.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine. Anywho, moving on. The shipping costs, like a lot of times you'll see in commercials and everything else where it's like free shipping. Yeah, and then you'll see in the very tiny print at the bottom, it's like except to
Not
Alaska
or Hawaii.
Yeah, and so like essentially we're close to an island really, because you have to either traverse through a foreign country, Canada, via the road system to get here, and a lot of companies with like certain materials you can't just drive them through a foreign country, or you have to take a boat, and that takes forever, or you have to fly it in, and some things you can't fly in because again hazardous materials type of thing. Yeah. So and then just the cost of shipping, like there's so many times where there's been free shipping and then it hasn't been free for Alaska and Hawaii. Even Prime shipping, sometimes Prime is like Prime shipping shipped by Amazon, and then it's still like, oh, but that's a pair of gloves that you want, that there's no hazardous materials in the pair of gloves, still can't ship it because reasons.
Yep.
And it's not like I live off the roads. I'm not in one of those villages that you gotta fly to or take a snow machine to. I'm in the biggest city.
Speaking of those villages, my number 2 is, it's pretty remote. The shortest flight from any major city, Anchorage or Fairbanks, to any U.S. city, Seattle, is Anchorage to Seattle is about a 2.5, 3-hour flight. That's the shortest one. Technically, Juneau and Ketchikan and Sitka are closer, but nobody lives there.
Yeah.
Juneau's the state capital, and still nobody lives there.
Yeah, that's why they want to keep it.
Yeah, if they move the capital to Fairbanks, to Anchorage, Juneau's gonna die.
Yeah, if they move the capital out of Juneau, Juneau's just gonna be a ghost town. So
yeah,
they have a vested interest there in keeping it there.
For real.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I like to show people this, because your hand, if you hold it upside down and stick your pointer finger out, like you're making a gun, but upside down, that's what Alaska looks like, basically. And our road system, here's Anchorage, here's Fairbanks. There's a road connecting those two. There's a road that goes this way and out into Canada, and there's a road that comes from Fairbanks and also goes out into Canada, and that's all of the roads.
That's it.
That's the whole road system.
Basically it, yeah.
Technically, there's also the Dalton Highway that goes up to Prudhoe Bay, which is up at the very top up here.
Yeah.
But that's one of the 10 most dangerous roads on the entire planet.
Yeah.
So for obvious reasons,
Highway is a
most
term
people
very
don't
loosely.
drive there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
if you don't live on that road system, you live in a village and you don't have roads.
yeah.
You might not even be on the same electricity grid.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even have electricity.
Yeah, no, there's some that don't have electricity, don't have plumbing. Yeah. So
Yeah. Which, I mean, some people like that. But
yeah,
like,
it's a lifestyle.
clearly, I like my YouTube.
Same.
I want my electricity back.
Yeah, I like my Wi-Fi.
Yeah. What's your number 3?
Just the general cost of living. I know that it's not as expensive as some metropolitan areas in the lower 48. I've recently come to learn this, but like I go on kind of the fast food scale of cost. So, for example, the Wendy's, like 4 for $4. It's 4 for $6 up here.
The $5 footlong at Subway never
It was
existed up
never
here.
$5. They still had the hand symbol for a while, where it had like the 5 fingers on it, but
And
it
they
was
say it was $6 footlong.
or $7 in some places.
Or $8 in some places.
Ooh, yeah.
Girdwood, it's $8.
Yeah. See? Yeah. And when you think about it, like, okay, well, like 4 for $6 versus 4 for $4, that's only $2 more. But if you think of the percentage, that's 150% of the price. Like, that's 150% cost of living of the rest of the lower 48. So, yeah, it's expensive up here sometimes.
It can, yeah. That was my number 3. Is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Like shipping or just cost to go out to eat or whatever.
Yeah.
The wages aren't necessarily higher either until very recently. The minimum wage was just the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25.
Yeah.
And that's not a lot of money.
It's really
especially
not.
when the Wendy's 4 for $4 is $6.
And then you also have the fact that, like, Anchorage, which is our biggest city, it has about half the population of the state. We're right up against a mountain. Like, they keep on building higher up into the mountains because there's nowhere to geography. There's not a whole lot of places to go. So the housing costs are kind of ridiculous here too.
Kind of a thing in Anchorage because you've got the ocean. It's on like a triangle-shaped piece of land. Mm-hmm. On 2 sides, you've got the ocean. And on the other side, you've got the mountains for most of it, and then the little tiny spot that's flat and goes up along the mountains between the ocean. That's where the military base is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're kind of stuck.
Yeah. So yeah, if you ever heard about the bridge to nowhere back in the day, well, it kind of would have been to nowhere, but only for a really short time.
Before everything built over there.
Yeah, everybody would be like, oh, there's space, let's go. So yeah.
We should build the bridge to nowhere.
Well, if you just give me the $1 billion, I'll get right on it.
Yeah, so just send him $1 billion.
Yeah.
If everyone on the planet gave him $1, he'd have $7 billion.
I would have $7 billion. I support this movement. Let's get that hashtag give Jasper $1 billion.
I like this.
So I think my 4th or whatever number we're on was also the like flying to and from Alaska.
Oh,
so, yeah, right there with you.
Oh, my 4th was there's no furry conventions for the time being.
For now.
We're trying to make one. You'll see one of the previous videos was with Kaba, who was the chair of Emerald Fur Summit and one of the senior staff members at Megaplex, which is one of the giant ones.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a whole video on like tips and tricks for running your own convention. So maybe more people will make conventions, and maybe we can make a convention.
Sweet.
We would like to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome to have like a furry convention, as opposed to just SenchiCon that all the furries go to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We'd like to get a con going in Alaska. I made a Twitter account. I've got another friend up here, plus these people. We got a small group of us who are working on it right now. We're trying to get the business set up right now, and then go shopping around for convention space.
Alrighty.
Number 5.
The other thing that is kind of a bummer about living here is that it's a place that's made to be driven. And what I mean by that is that if you don't have a vehicle, it's very difficult to get around, because even within the Anchorage area, because it gets cold here, and because everything is so spread out, because we have some space, like it's kind of difficult to walk places, and the public transportation system is not super amazing.
It's a bus.
Yeah.
There's like a couple bus lines around major arterial roads in the city.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
No trains, no subways.
Yeah, I mean, there is a train, but it goes from like Seward to Fairbanks, and it's like, it's not like
one uses
it's
that
not for
to
using
commute.
in the Anchorage area. It's like if you're a tourist or a cargo.
The Alaska Railroad. It really is a tourist thing. Nobody uses it to commute. As far as I know.
You can't use it to commute because it doesn't work.
They do have a commuter train that comes from the villages that are like south of Denali, and that comes in like twice a week.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who's gonna commute twice a week?
Yeah, that doesn't really work for like a 9 to 5 type of thing. So
no.
Yeah, it's you basically have to drive anywhere you want to get to, or take a very long walk or a kind of a long bike ride. That being said, there are a lot of bike trails.
There are a lot of bike trails.
128 miles of paved bike trails within the Anchorage area, so that's cool.
Wow, yeah, that is really cool.
But yeah, so that's my 5. Did we get to your 5th one?
It is my turn. I do not remember. I had 9 of the 10 memorized. What?
Darkness.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. Yes, my number 5 is the daylight cycle here. And if you have seasonal affective disorder, like my mom did, and in fact, like 70% of people living in Alaska, and I would assume most northern places in the world, or really far southern, have, during the summer, it's great, because the sun is up from like 3 a.m. until 2 a.m.
The whole time. Like, it doesn't really ever get, like, dark. Like, I didn't really experience that till I went to the lower 48, and I was like, it's like 8 o'clock, and it is the darkest I've ever seen anywhere.
Right? Yeah. So my friend one time, I came home from work at 10 p.m. The sun is still up, and my friend says, hey, let's go raft Eagle River. And I was like, all right. So we drove out there. We get out there at 11. We're getting in the boat. The sun is still up. It's the middle of the summer, by the way. It's not like this all the time. We raft the whole river. We pull up on the beach at the end, and it's 2 a.m., and the sun had been down for about an hour. And by the time we got home, the sun was back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes quick. But then the flip side of that is during the winter.
Yeah, it gets dark. It'll be dark from like 3 p.m. until like 9 or 10 a.m. or something. Like it can get dark, and that's just in the like Anchorage and Fairbanks area. There are literally places farther north in the Arctic Circle, like, you know, Uktiavik area and whatnot, that like...
The Arctic Circle is the line. Once you go above the Arctic Circle, there will be days during the winter where the sun does not come up at all.
At all.
And there will be days during the summer where the sun does not go down at all. Yeah. I was young when I lived there, so I don't really know. But in Fairbanks, the sun would come up during the winter, especially on like the winter solstice. It would come up for about an hour. And if you lived in the woods like we did, it wouldn't come above the trees. So you would like see that the sky was light and you could see the sun over there. Oh yeah, it's through the trees, but like that was it.
I will sorry.
During the summer, the flip side of that was it would only go down for an hour. It wouldn't ever get fully dark.
Yeah. I will say that like the darkness here is a little bit different, because usually by the time it gets that super dark, there's usually enough snow on the ground to kind of create some ambient lighting type of thing. So
it reflects.
Yeah, so that's why in the lower 48 it gets like a weird dark, whereas up here it's dark to give you the sad and whatnot. Especially in the Anchorage area. Have you ever noticed how if it's overcast at night and there's snow on the ground, the clouds kind of have the orangey glow from all of the lights in Anchorage and Eagle River. Yeah.
So it doesn't actually get dark.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not bright enough to read by, but like you can go outside and see and be fine for the most part. Yeah,
probably not in fursuit, because
definitely not in fursuit. We've got giant box lights right here, and I can barely see the camera.
Yeah, no, I every time I film, I've just kind of looked between.
It's somewhere over there.
Yeah. So But
so those are some of the best things and some of the worst things about living in Alaska.
Yeah.
This is Jasper.
Hello.
What species are you?
So technically, I'm a coyote, but like literally any canine I'm gonna respond to. Like I'm just canine.
Yeah. So it's important to say that you are not Jasper Husky, because Jasper Husky is a different August guest.
You have another Jasper?
Yes, I do.
I'm leaving.
Sorry. But you guys should totally go subscribe to Jasper on YouTube.
Yeah.
And follow him on Twitter at Lightclaw29.
Yes, my Twitter is at Lightclaw29. I don't have enough subscribers for a custom YouTube URL yet, but...
Go subscribe to him so we can get him the custom URL.
There's links in the description.
Down there.
On my Twitter.
And there's a little end card thing once we start playing the music and we get out of here.
So fancy.
Yeah. Can you do those yet? Do you know how to do those?
Yeah,
I can show you how to do those.
Yeah,
I think you should be able to do those.
I probably can. I just...
Yeah. It's all good. Make sure you subscribe to him. Come back tomorrow for another video. And thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.